Hey, you made it back. We're about to jump into chapter 5 of this audiobook reading, and then we break it apart in the podcast section as it relates to our own life drama, thought battles, whatever's going on. And today the chapter is Rekindle. And so, of course, after we're going to talk about prerequisites for healthy relationships. So, if you don't know what's going on, let me just give you a quick rundown and then we'll jump into this. So I'm Nurse Ann, a nurse of 30 years and still going on the front lines of mental health and emergency. So I created this 6-part drama to promote there is adventure, action, advocacy, and awareness, where you're going to meet the frontline workers right along with the frontline workers as they try to rescue those in crisis, mental, physical, and spiritual. We're now in book 2. And if you want to check out the whole series, it's on the podcast tab at nurseann.com. That's Ann with an E. And you can listen to all the episodes for free on that podcast tab. You don't even have to join. It's there with just a couple of videos in between. And not only that, there's a store tab. I got all the books there, but I made it super easier and it's almost free. I actually put the whole 6-part series in one book, and it's on the front page in the store. There's links everywhere. The Mental Files First 6 Stories edition by Nurse Ann. As I said, that's me getting into that advocacy and awareness, seeing what people go through, and not to mention the frontline workers. So in book 1, quick recap. You know, the Mental Files, Sheep Among Wolves. You met the young lady who was on the street fending for herself, battling, the frightening hallucinations, the thought disorders, all the while ravenous wolves were trying to prey on her. You met the man on the bridge. You met the officer and the caseworker as they try to rescue those, and the nurses, the doctors, the paramedics, the healthcare workers, the social workers, everybody who's trying to help. The community and the church. Some people want to help. Some people don't want to help. Some people just like to stay in their lane and keep their life easy and comfortable. But you followed the relationship of the officer and caseworker, and now we're in book 2, The Mental Files, Dr. John Doe, where the caseworker and the officer had rescued this confused and disoriented man that was out on the street screaming that he was a doctor. They've taken him to the ER after he had the bleeding head wound and trying to figure out who he is. And he finally made it to the mental health ward so they can try to get to the bottom of who this mystery man is. Not to mention you met Mars. He was the man that was caught up in a life of crime and danger, and the officer is now mentoring him. He went on the ride along with the officer and the caseworker, and blah, 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 blah. Let me get into the chapter where the officer and the caseworker, they started dating in the first book, but she had some red flags, different personalities he was into, a different kind of life that she wasn't used to. She hadn't been out in a while. So there's just some rockiness going on. Not sure if she trusts him again. But so let's see what happens. As I said, officer and the caseworker just rescued the man. I think they're driving home now. Let's get into chapter 5, Rekindle. Then we'll get into the podcast where we break it apart and talk about our own healthy relationships and prerequisites and stuff like that. And then I'll also show you my other books, my 3 devotionals that I cranked out. One I just put out, Inspiration Battles. We'll get into that. So chapter 5 of The Mental Files, book 2, Dr. John Doe by Nurse Ann, me. Chapter 5 is Rekindle. So Leon, which is the officer, was determined to get back on the good side of the beautiful and good-hearted case worker. As he dropped her off at her place, he knew the usual invite to the sports bar probably wouldn't cut it. As I said, that's Lita, and she's a different kind. She's into just a quieter lifestyle, not used to all the sports bar and the blaring loudness and just that lifestyle. So anyway, he knew that the invite to the sports bar probably wouldn't cut it. He still enjoyed his hangout times with his friends and drinking buddies there, but this lady was different. She seemed very uncomfortable in that environment. He noticed that she naturally shined while caring for her clients and attending the groups at church with her new friends. Well, Well, I guess I better go with the flow and step up my game to win her back, he thought. Going for the gold, he offered to attend the next service with her. Oh boy. Still feeling somewhat reluctant to let her guard down, Lita pondered the offer. Maybe he's finally turning over a new leaf, she silently imagined. The desire for a family and motherhood were always present, not to mention the internal clock she thought was ticking by too fast. All right, sounds good. Do you want to come out to eat with us, or should we just meet at church, she asked. Or maybe it would be good for you to try to get Mars to come along, she added. And that's the young man they helped rescue, and the officer is mentoring him. Absolutely, agreed the handsome bachelor as he internally gave himself a yes. Sure, I will personally make that happen. We should probably meet you there in case he tries to get cold feet. Nervously chuckling, Lita hoped she was not getting her heart back into trouble again. Guess what? That's the end of chapter 5. And next one is chapter 6, Mystery Man Identified. You might get to find out who that mystery man that was the elderly man running in traffic, screaming he was a doctor, didn't know who he was. Next time we'll find out who he is. But let's break this apart, this chapter of Rekindle, and talk about our own life struggles, thought battles, relationship drama, and how we can navigate that and make wiser choices to have the best life, because your life, my life, is an investment. And so we want to make wise choices so that we're not tripping all over ourselves all the time and making the same mistakes, but having a great life for ourselves and others. So let me put down chapter 2 of that. And don't forget, on the website, on the store tab, you got a link to all the books, or there's also just the complete season. And I call the season because this was written as a television drama series that is going to be one day, and you can help support it and be a television drama series one day. You know, you have a lot of other, you have shows about ER and Law and Order, just different things going on, Touched by an Angel, yada, yada. But let's have the Mental Files, and where each episode highlights a different mental health and other struggles that people go through, how the frontline workers, the church, and the community help, don't help, all the relationship dramas. So check that out. Join this book club. This book is not that much on the Kindle. I price them only super cheap because it's not about the profit. I want you to find out what's going on the front lines and be an advocate to others, for yourself, your loved ones, just as a healthcare worker, whatever role you are in. So let's jump into what we're going to talk about. Relationships, healthy relationships, prerequisites. What are some of those prerequisites to help us have good and healthy and lasting and positive relationships? So one of them, of course, trusting God is super important, developing that relationship so that we can have that intuition that's been refined and in tune with God and His Holy Spirit. So when we do have those red flags, we're not just going to ignore them, but we're going to listen, take our time and think about it, and get back in the Word, get back in our relationship. And God will reveal things to you, instead of us just rushing on with what we think we know is not always the best. And the other one is, a lot of times before we jump into dating and certain relationships, we need some healing in our own life. We carry a lot of baggage from our past, how we were raised, how we were treated. We might even have trauma bonds from abusive or narcissistic type of relationships that it's wise to heal from them. If you don't, you're going to keep attracting the same type of relationships in your life that might not be healthy for you, because that's what you grew up with. That's what you know. Maybe you've been hurt and, you're still kind of glued to some of those things. So spend time with God, spend time in the Word, spend time with healthy people. If you need counseling, please get some good counseling. Find someone that is trustworthy, that will guide you in the right way, and get that healing. It's going to be so vital so you don't keep getting back into relationships that aren't going to be your best investment in your best life, because you can have good relationships and they are vital to your life. So once again, trust God, pay attention to red flags. And in order to do that, you want to take your time. You meet a new person that you're interested in, whether it's a dating situation, a friend, take your time, get to know that person, watch who they really are. People can say anything, especially in a dating situation. People want to put their best face forward. They might even not always be completely honest, and you want to take your time so you can see what actually comes out in their life. Look out for red flags, look out for the good qualities, and just keep that in line, keep that in check. And what else? As I said, the Holy Spirit, having that relationship with God, will refine your intuition so you can hear and see things that you might not otherwise see. So going slow will help you with do that. Another thing that helps is spending quiet time with yourself, working on yourself, time in nature, just backing off from social media, backing off from all the noise in the world, the TV, our phones, our relationships, going out. Just have that quiet time by yourself for your life investment. And I want to share something with you about that to help you on your path. Let's see. So this is from my new devotional that just dropped from the new year, Inspiration Battles Devotional by Nurse Ann. There's a link on the website, nurseann.com, Ann with an E. But let's see, quietness. That's today is quietness. So noise is everywhere. There's blaring TVs, bass pumping music, incessant conversations, podcasts about everything can be listened to 24/7. But what can we hear in the silence? Does that seem like an odd question? Or can you envision having space to hear softly chirping birds, gently lapping waves, or perhaps the soft but audible whisper of heavenly guidance? Groups can clamor for having the next word, and drivers can angrily honk as they whiz by to rush to their destination. Before we realize it, our lives can be an endless stream of duties and loudness. Scheduling downtime is vital to avoid burnout from the unceasing busyness. However, if we neglect to seek this quiet time, we might feel the hand of the Lord imposing it for us to show us something more substantial. Being led to still waters and walking in ways of gentleness will only lead to refreshing and inspiration. And when you're inspired to make better choices, to work on yourself, to see the good in others, but to make those wise decisions. And as we come out of our times of devotion and tranquility, we will realize that we did not miss out on anything of more valuable than our Sabbath. We all need that Sabbath rest, that time of quiet, that time of downtime where we can hear and listen. And that's from Inspiration Battles Devotional. Also have a couple more devotionals. There's Energize Health, Body, Mind, and Spirit, to help you propel your total health. You want to get started on that. There's a link on nurseann.com along with the podcast tab to check out the other episodes of the Mental Files. And the last one is Word Puzzles Devotional, which is interesting words linked to everyday life and inner thought struggles, along with relevant biblical prescriptions so you can get your dose of wisdom and inspiration, because I want you and me to overcome and thrive, to have hope and new light for your life journey, medicine for your soul. We all need medicine for our soul. And if we get that, it's going to help us choose and have great relationships. I want that for you. So get the help that you need, get the healing, trust God, look out for red flags, take your time. And I hope that you will come to the next podcast for the next chapter. You're going to find out who the mystery man really is, the Mental Files, Dr. John Doe. And once again, just check out this whole series. It's not that much. It's going to be a television drama one day, and you're going to help me do that. Check it out. Go to nurseann.com. That's Ann with an E. I hope you have a great day, a life of abundance, a life of abundant and satisfying, fulfilling relationships. God bless you. See you next time. Like, follow, and share.